Today I'm going to show you guys how I get millions and millions of gingerbreads. I always do a really big shopping spree for events like the Cherry Blossom event, which is the spring event. I spent 6 million. For the summer event I spent 7 million, and for the Halloween I spent 6 million. So I always get around 6 to 7 million of the currencies and do a really big shopping spree. And I always get questions about how I do it, how I get so many. So today I'm going to answer those questions and show you exactly how I do it so you can do it for yourself, because I'm always able to get pretty much every single pet as a mega. There's usually like 1 or 2 pets that I compromise on just so I can get more of like the boxes and things, but I'm pretty much able to get every single pet as a mega and get all the pets that I want in these updates. So I'm going to show you guys how I do it today so you can do it for yourself. So the first thing you are going to need is a main account and an alt account. I always have a main account and an alt account when I do these. I always spend everything on my main account and then everything on my alt account. I pretty much have half of my currencies on both of my accounts. So if you were to do this with just one account, you would usually only have like 3 to 4 million to spend. So that's why I always use an alt account. So you're going to need a laptop, a PC, and like an iPad, or you can also do an iPad and a phone, just 2 devices that you can play Adopt Me on for 2 accounts. For my grinding, what I do is I skate, and then I'll play the mini game, and then after the mini game I go straight to the train. You get almost 2,000 gingerbreads for ice skating, and you get about 5,000 from the mini games. And then you also get 1,000 for the train. So altogether you can get about 8,000, and that's like about every 10 minutes. But if you use 2 accounts, you get twice the amount. So instead of 8,000, you get almost 16,000, which is a lot more. So that's why I use 2 accounts. And I also make sure every single day I spend my bucks on gingerbreads on both of my accounts. I spend my bucks and get 15,000 gingerbreads right off the bat, and that really helps boost and really saves me time on getting some gingerbread. So that's like the first thing I make sure I do every single day. But mainly my routine after that is just ice skating, playing mini games, and then hopping on the train. So I'll ice skate on my main account, and then after I'm done with that, I'll take my alt account and ice skate on that account. And I usually have enough time after that to collect them all and then join the mini games. For the mini games though, it can be a little more trickier depending on the mini game. Humbug is really easy on an alt account, but for Sleigh Ball it's a little different. You get a lot less if you don't play the game. You only get 1,000 gingerbreads if you don't play Sleigh Ball on your alt account. So it's really helpful to have an extra person that will help you out, but it can be kind of hard to find someone to help you. So if you have like a sibling that will help you, or maybe a parent that will help you, you just need someone to play on your alt account for Sleigh Ball. But for Humbug, you can do that all by yourself. For Sleigh Ball, you mainly just want to get the gifts back to your team, and that will give you the most gingerbreads from the minigame. But for Humbug, it's really easy. You can do that by yourself. For each wave, I will just hit like 1 or 2 of the Humbugs, and then on my main account, I clear the wave. And then hopefully either your alt account is in the minigame. Sometimes it splits and there's like 2 different minigames going on, so you might not be in the same one as your alt account. So hopefully if you aren't, they can help clear the wave, because if you clear the wave you do get more gingerbreads. But as long as you're hitting a few of the Humbugs, you usually get almost 5 million, sometimes a little less than that. But it's really easy to play and get gingerbreads on your alt account for Humbug. It's a little harder on Sleigh Ball since you do have to actually, collect the gifts and bring them back and actually play the mini game. But that is pretty much how I do it with an alt account. I will play Humbug by myself, but I usually do have someone there to help me out with Sleigh Ball and get more gingerbreads for that. But if you can't, you do get 1,000, so you might as well just throw your alt account in there and get some gingerbreads. but it is more helpful if you can get some extra help. But that's pretty much all I do, and it really does depend on how much time you are going to play. I did test it out to see how much I make in an hour. I did start out with my main with 1,527,000, and then after an hour of playing, I had 1,591,000, so I was almost able to get to 600,000, but I ended up making 65,000 with my main account in 1 hour. With my alt account, I started out with 1,001,000 and ended up with 1,060,000 on my alt account, so I got 59,000 on my alt account. So altogether, that is over 100,000. But I usually set a goal for myself every single day where I get at least 200,000, maybe even a little more than that, depending on how busy I am that day. But I try to get extras just in case if there is a day where I can't grind as much, if I am a little busier. But I usually try to grind for like 3 or 4 because you do get a lot more. But that was just an hour of grinding, and that was a pretty good amount of gingerbreads that I got for just an hour. But I did test out how much I get in a full day. Like I said, I usually have a goal of 200,000, and today I did complete that goal in about 2 hours and a half, I would say. I did start with 1,527,000 on my main account, and at the end of the day I did get 1,700,000, and that was my goal for that day, was to get to 700,000. And then for my alt account, I had a goal to get to 1,100,000, and I did complete that goal as well. So that was about 2.5 hours of grinding. If you got 200,000 in 25 days, you would have 5 million at the end of the event. You do have 30 days. I said 25 because that is when they add in all of the pets. And I usually like to spend all of my gingerbreads when they finally add all of the pets. But if you do try to get a little bit more than that, or you do grind for a little bit longer, as long as the event does end, you usually can get to 6 million. And like I said, I usually try to get over 200,000 so I can have at least 6 million at the end of the event. But that is pretty much how I do it. It is a lot of work. I play a lot of Adopt Me. It is kind of my job, so that is why I'm able to do this. But with people who have like real jobs or school and stuff, it can be a lot harder to get that many. But that is how I do it. I always have questions. But the main part of this is grinding for hours and hours every single day to get a bunch of gingerbreads. But hopefully this video was helpful, and maybe you can do it yourself and get all of the pets you want. But the alt account is the most helpful thing in this process. Having that extra alt account, you basically collect like twice the amount of gingerbreads with an alt account. But good luck getting all the gingerbreads. I hope you guys can do a big shopping spree at the end, like I always do, and watch out for that. That should be coming out within the next few weeks when they finally add in all of the pets for this event, and I cannot wait to spend all of my gingerbreads. But anyways guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!